What happens when a struggling trader becomes the kind of person others turn to for help? In today's episode, I'm joined by one of my former students, Rob Vallejo, someone who started in survival mode, battled self-doubt, and emerged with confidence, consistency, and a deeper purpose. You are listening to the Confidence in Trading podcast. I am your host, Agnieszka Wood, a trading mindset coach and a seasoned day trader with over a decade of experience. If you are new to my show, don't forget to subscribe so you can come back for the next episode. In this podcast, we explore the fascinating world of psychology and the human element of trading. We take a deep dive into different perspectives to inspire you and help you navigate the emotional ups and downs of trading with self-compassion and confidence. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, this podcast is your trusted companion providing support on your trading journey. Get ready to boost your confidence and unlock the secrets to mastering your mindset for success. Welcome to episode 62, From Student to Coach. What it really takes to become a consistently profitable trader. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, Agnieszka, how are you? Thank you for having me here. This is honor and a privilege. It really is to be here talking with you today.
Pleasure is all mine. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today because we started working together back in June 2022, and it's been incredible to watch your growth, not just into a consistently profitable trader, but into someone who now guides others through the same journey inside our Discord. And it's truly a full circle moment. What's really special about this for me is that in our head coach community, students don't just learn, but they evolve, just like you. And when they are ready, they get the chance to step up and support others. You have done exactly that. And I can't wait for everyone listening to hear your story. I know that your story is going to inspire a lot of people because you've been there, you've done the work, and you have made it to the other side. So let's begin with something very special. I think it might be very special to you, maybe even somewhat emotional. I would like to bring up a letter that you wrote to yourself when we were working together from your future self. And you dated that letter September 1st, 2027. And you were writing that letter from that time perspective to the trader that you were at the time. How do you feel about that? Would you like to listen to that?
Yes, actually, I really want to because as you mentioned it, I've come to realize that I'm in a way better place than I had hoped to be in.
Amazing. So let's listen.
Okay?
Rob, where do I start? It's been a long ass road. So many obstacles, so many doubts, so many times you weren't sure if you would ever arrive here. Well, after all that, you did it. You persevered and you arrived where you wanted to be. Rob, take it in, motherfucker. You did it. Remember when over 5 years ago you wanted to be a successful trader? You wanted to own real estate. You wanted to buy a place in Italy. Remember the fear of not having the money to move your mom from the heights, not knowing what it felt like to be wealthy. Remember all that? Remember those moments of doubt, of fear? Rest, breathe, and take it all in. I'm going to say it again. You did it. So before I continue, let's take inventory. You now make 7 figures trading, dude. You make 7 figures a year. Reread that. You make 7 figures a year. You bought and built 6 rentals in Vermont. You created another stream of income. Your bank account has 6 figures just sitting in there. Mom now lives 5 minutes away and you can spend more time with her. Get her outside and moving. You're building your place in Tuscany. You flew there, you bought it, now it's being remodeled. You closed the doggy llama. Although you miss some of those dogs that you used to take care of, but that door is closed now. And you and Kristen can now go away for the holidays, as opposed to having to stay behind and take care of everyone else's dogs. Having accomplished all this, I can't help to think of those times you were scared, all those times you felt desperation, but you had faith in God and faith in yourself. You learned to manage your money, how to spend it. You began to believe in yourself. You stopped yourself from causing your own demise. You stayed true to yourself and began to trust your intuition. You kept to your routine. 8:30, you were in front of your computer, you did your work. The leader in you gave you the plan, the manager broke it down, and the operator in you followed that plan. And before you know it, you made the money you wanted to make. You learned to be patient. I'm proud of you for never giving up. You knew deep down inside you would get here. And for that alone, you're the fucking man. You never gave up, and neither did Kristen. She backed you through thick or thin. She believed in you, so count your blessings. Nowadays, when you think about those negative emotions, you smile. Sometimes you even laugh and think why you allowed yourself to go through all that. These days, Rob, you wake up and the first thing you think about is how grateful you are. Then you trade, you kick ass, make more money, all within the first hour of the trading day. God damn, you became the trader you always imagined you wanted to be. You are now that guy that everybody wants to be. Furthermore, you now hold bi-monthly calls with Monique to discuss potential properties to buy. And the cool thing is that now you tell Monique, all right, I like that one. Let's make an offer. Your place in Italy is being built, and you hold weekly calls with the contractor for the progress reports. Even with all that, you still have a few more goals to accomplish, but instead of wondering if you were ever going to see them through, you are now in the initial stages of those goals. Soon you can call Roosevelt Veterinary Center and talk about opening up the Foo Fighter Fund for those who can't afford specialty care for their pets. Then you're going to call St. Jude's Hospital and make your yearly donation. The only advice I have for you at this point is don't doubt. Get rid of it. Keep trusting yourself. Keep believing in yourself. And yes, you heard it so many fucking times, Rob. Enjoy the journey. Believe me, take time to enjoy it because it will keep the fear away. Rob.
That is very different.
So when you hear yourself speaking, it was July 2022. It was 3 years ago. And when you hear it like that, what comes up?
Initially, it started with a lot of emotion. Like, just, I could feel what I was feeling at the time. And then I'm really proud of myself for going in a route that I never expected I'd be on. You know, it was all financial at the time, all financial. And now it's really more about experiences and interactions and self-improvement that even though a lot of that letter, not the word I want to use, but it's materialistic, it's still tangible in its meaning. Like, I wanted to do good. I wanted to help. I wanted to give back. And I'm doing that now. And it's so fulfilling. Like, just, oh my God. Just this journey has been amazing for me because I feel like I was a child at the time, even with the gray beard. But now I feel more empowered. I feel more confident. I feel more comfortable in my shoes, as opposed to when I wrote that letter to myself, where I was feeling like a hopeless child, so to speak, that felt like he didn't have a way or didn't know what to do and felt like the world was against him. And now it's like the world, I'm part of the world where I can now be of assistance because I put in all that work. And I'm really proud of myself listening to that.
And you have absolutely right to be proud of yourself. And when you listen back and the emotions and the feelings that you have right now, can you recall whether, like, were you even able to imagine how that would feel to have all those things that you were writing about?
No, I couldn't. That was actually a big issue I struggled with, trying to even just imagine what it was to feel, to be that person, let alone, have all those things, but to be that person. My life depended on it. I wouldn't have been able to to feel that. And in this process of becoming the trader I've always wanted to be, I can feel that now. I can feel what it is to have that confidence. I can feel what it is to have that assurance. I can feel what it is to have that ability to wake up in the morning and know what I'm capable of, as opposed to waking up very fearful, very, curious, unsure, and so on.
The market is already so uncertain and we never know what's going to happen. And when you, on top of that, have that insecurity in yourself and bring it to the market, it's just a mix that sets you up for failure because you
Yeah.
doubt yourself all the time. You second guess yourself all the time. And the market is causing
Exactly.
those feelings as well because you cannot trust it, right? You never know what's going to happen. So it just shakes you even more if you don't have that confidence, if you don't have that solid foundation to stand on your feet and say, okay, at least I know what I'm going to do. I have my plan. I know I can trust myself that I will follow it. And then whatever the market is doing, I know I can trust myself. I have that integrity.
Exactly. Like for instance, this morning, um, you've got all these reports coming out nowadays, 8:30, 8:45, 10 o'clock. If that were me 3 years ago, I would have just still gotten in a trade because of FOMO, for starters, right? Take a loss, and then my whole world can crumble down. Now it's like this morning, you had all these news. I had my strategy. I knew that something was going to come out at a certain time, so I opted to stay out simply because my confidence and in myself and my ability as a trader and as a person was like, don't worry about it. So you don't trade today. You got next week. What's the big deal? And that's where the change is a lot more noticeable from just that little example of being afraid and still trading because of FOMO as to now staying, you know what, I'm not even going to worry about it today. I'm just going to go about my day and do what I have to do.
I think you touched that key point. It's not a big deal. I think that many traders make a huge deal out of little things, right? For once, if I cannot trade, it's a big deal. If the market doesn't give me what I want, it's a big deal. If I take a loss, it's a big deal. If I'm wrong, huge deal. And all those big deals making people crazy and making people panic and act out of that survival instinct. And if you can come to this conclusion, it's not a big deal. It's just trading.
Exactly.
It's not like your life is going to end. But a lot of times, that's what's at stake, right? A lot of traders feel that if I don't make it in trading, my life is going to collapse.
Yeah.
I'm going to collapse. It's going to mean that I am someone who does not deserve anything and I'm a failure and making that big deal out of it, right? So how was that for you? What did you believe about yourself when you started trading? How did you see yourself? Can you recall that?
Good question. It was a constant struggle every day. It was really about having a plan, but I didn't understand it, right? You can have a plan to do something, But if you don't understand the process or the steps in it, is it really a plan at that point? Right? So I would wake up every morning and do the whole thing, imagine myself being a trader and this and that. It just didn't feel right. So, and it was a moment about early last year, 2024, where we have a dog boarding business. So people travel, they leave our dogs with us, and Christmas is usually our busiest time. Like we'll have like, I kid you not, somewhere between 50 to 70 dogs to take care of. So to give you an idea, the dogs usually start coming in mid-December. Fast forward to after the holiday, these dogs start leaving after the first week of January. So some of them are even here 6 weeks, right? And by the time we take that last dog home, we are just mentally done. Like, I don't want to see another dog. I can't think of another dog food, medication. I mean, we're both like just frazzled. So what ended up happening that January, we took the last dog, and I kind of had a moment where I just was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And I thought to myself, okay, I need to do something about this. And I started going back and thinking about my training, because usually in December with all those dogs, I don't have time to train. Immediately that morning, my entire trading journey flashed in front of my eyes. And I was like, okay, I want to get out of this. I can't keep doing it. I don't want to keep doing it. So I sat down and I reread my plan. And that is where I started to realize that I didn't understand certain components of it. Because, I mean, generally speaking, when you learn from a trading guru, they give you a strategy, right? But they never teach you the strategy in itself. They tell you what to look for. There's little nuances that I've discovered in trading that, at least speaking for myself, you're not really taught. So with that in mind, at the time, it was the W pattern, the double bottom pattern that I was trading. And you see it on the chart and it's working, right? Everywhere you look, there's W. And the double top, the M, it's working. It shouldn't be a problem. And so I sat down and said, okay, what am I doing here that I'm not applying to my trading to make it work? So I spent the next month, all of January, forgot about trading live, started just looking at charts, sitting in front of my computer, and really focusing in on the double bottom and just looking for it and looking for it and looking for it. Once I trained my eye to see that, I started not paper trading it, but mentally trading it. This is where I'm going to enter. This is where my stop. And it still wasn't working. I was like, okay, it's not me. It can't be me. Like, I'm not coming into the market thinking I'm going to fail. I'm not coming into the market thinking anything, just this is what I'm going to trade. But it's not working. So I had to dig deeper and deeper. And that took me into February. So now I'm going 2 months that I haven't traded, right? The dog business is still fine. Dogs are coming in. So financially, I'm not worried. But you still want to give yourself the time to say, okay, I want to get this going so that I can start phasing the other thing out. Well, January turned to February, February into March. So it took me 3 months to really hone my skill and find the little nuances of when and when not to enter on a double pattern. What am I exactly looking for? And it's funny because all that went back to one thing. And that was that one class you and I had where you said, if there's no flag, there's no trade. So I'm looking at the W. I'm like, okay, well, the W's there, so there's got to be a trade. But the concept behind what you said is what got to me.
Yeah, no trigger, no trade.
Exactly. And just because there's a W doesn't mean there's a trigger. You have to find that little thing in there that tells you this is where you want to get in, right? And I found it. So I started finding success. I started trading it. I was still doing options at the time, and everything was going great. But then what happens? The market decides to change.
Of course.
The environment changes on you for whatever reason, right? It doesn't matter. When the market decides it's going to change, it's going to change. And that usually means your setup may not now work all the time. Now it may work a little less more than often. So now you have even though you still have a success rate, your failure rate is now starting to get a little bigger. And as the market conditions tend to keep changing more and more often, now your success rate gets smaller and your risk gets bigger. So now I had to pivot again. I'm like, okay, so now my double bottom's not working again. So what is going on? So I went back and I realized, okay, the double bottom and the double top and the flag and so on don't happen all the time. But what does happen all the time? So I was on a mission to find that one thing that was happening all the time, regardless of the market condition. And it took me from January till about September while I back tested. And I mean, it was chart after chart, day and night, to the point my wife was like, "Can you come sit down and watch TV?" And I'm like, "Babe, I'm working on it. Hold on, just another hour, just another hour." That other hour would take me into midnight, 1 in the morning. But I was so excited because once again, now I'm reaching another level in my trading, an understanding of what is happening, not just, not just the blind rule of following a pattern or a certain thing that you see. Learn to understand why it's happening.
Yeah. And that is, that absolutely requires a lot of work. And
Yeah.
a lot of traders, I think, underestimate how much work that is. And because of the unrealistic expectations of like, oh, okay, I have a strategy, I have a setup, I'm just going to sit here and just trade it. That is, not enough. If you don't look at your stats to start with to see what's not working. And then when you don't backtest, when you don't do that work that you are talking about, it's very difficult to actually improve anything. Because if you don't know those things about your setup, you might say, okay, I know what I'm looking for, but there's this thing that's called probability, right? In trading, that is messing up your stats.
Yes.
Because it might work and it might not work. And there's nothing for sure. You will never say, okay, this is gonna work for sure. But our job is to increase the probability that something is gonna work.
Yeah, exactly.
When you came to me before we started working together, what was your self-image? Like, how did you see yourself? You were obviously struggling with consistency, with following your plan, like you said. There was a lot of self-doubt, right? So you wanted to be a successful trader, but looking back at how you saw yourself, did you actually imagine that you can be that successful trader? How would that even look like from the position where you were?
I couldn't imagine that because of the struggles. I was just getting too much into my own, focusing more on my struggle than I was on my advancement, right? So,
Right.
that whole journey that year in 2024, when I finally realized everything that I did, that moment was the moment where I realized I can actually do this. Because, it's one of those things when you work on something and you do so much research and then you find out the clues and the answers, that is what started building my confidence. That is when my mindset started saying, okay, Rob, you got this. You can really do it now. You can now get past the emotional aspect because now you have an understanding of where your journey brought you to.
Okay, so if that's the case, if this is actually the moment where everything fell into place, I would challenge the fact that maybe you didn't need this whole mindset transformation, because we were working together in 2022 and you made a huge progress with your confidence, with how you felt. But from what you are saying, the real true breakthrough came when you did the work on your strategy. So do you think you would be where you are right now if you would just do that work?
No, honestly, no, because again, everything was a multi-step process for me. Um, all and in every step, it was the mindset was in there. Because you start off as like not knowing what you're doing, so you're feeling, lonely, insecure, and so on. But once you find your footing and once you find a path and a journey that's putting you and confirming that your understanding is growing, at least for myself, that's where my confidence and my capability to say, I'm going to get there. I'm going to be the trader I want to be. And every step I took, every month, every little nuance I learned added to my mindset of you're not this weak little trader. You're not this unknowing trader. You are a trader because it's not just about getting in and out and making profit. It's about understanding what's going on, right? Because we all get caught up in this journey of we have to make money, we have to make money.
Right.
But then you learn that detachment. And that's what you taught me, the detachment. I didn't know that detachment was an issue, so to speak.
Gotcha. So you're saying that without actually that mindset transformation, that journey, you would not even get to analyzing your strategy and looking for it, or knowing that this is what you need to do, or finding it important enough to do it.
Exactly. Long story short, I found my footing, and in the process of finding my footing, I was able to transform my mindset into more where it made me realize like I am where I want to be. And then I started implementing it, and here we are.
Amazing. So when we think about success, a lot of times when I talk to traders that are not successful yet, there's this misconception that they need to know more. If I just learn a little bit more, if I just learn another strategy or maybe add another indicator, maybe I just need to read more books, maybe watch more YouTube videos, then I'm going to be successful. At what point did you realize that that's not the case, that it is really not knowing more, but doing what you already know?
Well, let's start with the adage, less is more,
Right.
right?
My life motto.
Right. Um, I was one of those traders that had, I think, four different indicators. When you're trading those indicators, they're not working. At least for me, they didn't work. So in my process, I started eliminating one, then the other. And the more I eliminated, the clearer I saw the chart. That I think it's part of the journey that each trader has to go through. I've seen traders that have like 10 indicators. That's got nothing to do with your plan or your trading. That's you. You're putting reliance on that indicator or indicators.
Which is so intuitive, because when you are walking over a hanging bridge, you automatically want to hold on to something, right? So when you are trading, and I always see those indicators that MAs and all the lines that people put on the chart, and just like those, like a railing of the bridge, where everything is shaking, but you still have a false sense of control that you are actually safe by just holding on to something. Well, even the thing that you're holding onto is shaking.
Yeah.
So when you start realizing that those indicators are just indicators, just like the name says, there is nothing certain about them. Not many people really realize that, right? They just say, "Oh, indicator," and I saw this guy trading it, so this is going to tell me what's going to happen.
And it's funny because in my journey, there was one moment where I looked on Instagram and I was following all these, self-improvement gurus. One of them posted a picture of a bird on a branch, and it says something along the lines of the bird's not afraid of the branch breaking off. It's confident in its own self to fly. Coincidentally enough, Agnieszka, when I saw that was when I realized that I was struggling with all these indicators. Like I literally could not look at my chart. This is too much. I just can't see. So what ended up happening was I saw that little picture, and it really resonated with me. Like that was another step in my mindset and in my confidence that this is not about an indicator. This is not about a strategy. This is not about a plan. This is about me. And then I started thinking back of everything we worked on. There's things you're going to teach me that won't resonate, and there's things you're going to teach me that will. And everything that resonated came flooding back.
There's always a right time for everything, right? Sometimes you're just not ready to hear things.
Yeah, and that's where I was getting at. Like every trader is going to hear it when they need to. So for me, I heard it at that moment in time, and that's when I took it a step further now. I removed all my indicators. I even got rid of volume. Like I just trade the chart.
You just completely stripped it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Instead of having a Christmas tree for a chart.
Exactly. And that's a perfect example. When you go into the forest, you don't see these Christmas trees lit up, but they look majestic and beautiful anyway. So when you think about it from that point back to the original statement of less is more, you will see the chart a lot more clear if you allow yourself to see it rather than thinking and relying on an outside factor, because that's your mind telling you you can't do it. That's your mind telling you you need that one thing more that's going to give you that edge. When in reality, the edge has always been within you.
Right. And we are not saying don't use indicators at all, but if you are using indicators, be very aware of what it is indicating and why you are using it. Like, what is it that you are looking for? Don't just put some indicators on your chart just because you've seen it that some other people are using it.
And those are the nuances I was talking about. Like you have to find that little thing, whether it's a candle or a candle pattern or a wick, that little thing that tells you this is where you're going to get in. And this is where you're going to put your stop. And this is where you put your profit target.
You know what I really love about this conversation is that automatically we are focusing on the process. It's just like automatically that the way we talk about trading is all about the process, not about the end result, which is the main issue why most traders are not profitable, is because they keep focusing on the money that they make. Right. So let's go back to the beginning when you said at some point you realized the problem is within you. What did it take for you to actually reach out for help? Because I spoke to your wife, and if you guys are interested to hear the other side of the story of Robert's wife, I actually did an interview with her in 2023. It's episode called The Untold Story. And you can hear how Rob achieved success, or at least how he was struggling at that time, and went through the transformation from her point of view. Very good episode. Wasn't it Kristen that said, hey, Rob, it's time that you are going to get some help?
Yeah, it was. I actually love this story because for those that watch television, there's a show called Billions, and it's about a hedge fund guy and his trials and tribulations in running his fund and everything that he does, and with the feds coming after him and so on. And the character, he's a little shady, but at the end of the day, he always tries to do the right thing. And in this entire series, in his office at his hedge fund, he has this one person, his trading psychologist, that whenever he had an issue or his traders did, they'd go right into her office and she would walk them through their entire process. And one day we were watching an episode. The psychologist's name was Wendy, and she talked to a trader in the scene where he goes in there really defeated, really like he's horrible, he's beating himself up. And within minutes, she pops him back up and he's like his chest is puffed and he's feeling good. He's ready to go make millions, right? And Kristen looks up and over at me and she says, "You need a Wendy." And I was like, "Yeah, I need a Wendy. You're right." So the next morning, what did I do?
You Googled Wendy.
Right. I here's the funny part. I was destined to work with you because that Monday morning I traded, I lost. I had a meltdown. So I was sitting in my desk and I was
Was it that same meltdown where Kristen was talking about you throwing away books? Or was it a different time?
oh, that's that there was like four real intense meltdowns. That was not one of them. That was a minor meltdown. Oh,
Just, promoting the other episode a little bit.
oh, you have to listen to that one because those meltdowns were epic. So I lost money. I had a mini meltdown, and I start looking up. Um, I type in trading psychologist, and I got distracted and went on Twitter. And at the time, I was following a guy who runs a trading group, a trading learning school, and he mentioned you, and I was like, "Huh." I saw your name because he tagged you, and I looked you up. I immediately, as soon as I looked at your website, I had this feeling that said, you need to reach out to her now. And I remember contacting you, and that's where it all started. We set up a date to talk and this and that. And then your last message to me was, until we talk, trade well. And that was it. That was the start. Unknowing to me at the beginning, at that moment, even though I was putting everything I had to work with you, but I still wasn't sure where I was going to end up. This was just one of those, what do they call those in football? A Hail Mary pass, where you throw it hoping the person's going to catch it, right? And I was like, this is it. I said, if this doesn't work, I'm done. I can't. And lo and behold, here we are. I am completely honored and beside myself to be talking to you today, to my mentor and my dearest friend now, the trader that I wanted to be.
Let's talk about the place where you are now, because it has been such an honor to see you grow and to guide you even beyond the program, because you have finished the program in 2022 and it's 2025 and we have been growing together, because I always say I always learn from you guys every single day. So I grow also as a coach, as a trader. Every time it's just the path I'm on. It's always about expansion. And that's what I want for people I work with. So we might have not even talked about this at the very beginning, what's beyond the program, what's beyond the path. But now you are actually doing something that you have said, you talked about in your letter. You are paying it forward.
Yeah.
How is that for you to be in a position now to help other traders and be there and for them and see them struggle with the same things that you are struggling, knowing that they can get to where you are and that you from here you can see this clear path, right? And their potential. How is that for you?
as you already know, I can be an emotional person. So if my voice cracks, now you know why. It's a very, very humbling and emotional um, thing for me because I remember those dark days of just feeling completely hopeless. And to be able to now think about those moments and laugh when at that moment there was nothing to laugh about, right?
Right.
Um, to be able to now laugh at those moments and be like, oh, geez, Rob, what are you thinking? What's wrong with you? Right? And then talk to traders who may not necessarily go through those meltdowns like I did, but have their own type of meltdown. And
Right.
even just hearing it in their voices, the struggle, to be able to sit there and listen to them and tell them whether they believe it or not at the moment, you're going to get past this. To see the things that I didn't see when I was doing it, to see it in someone else, it's very humbling for me because they're so close and you just want to keep guiding them and guiding them and guiding them, you know?
Yeah, because it's really about showing the light, like shining the light on the path, right? By telling people what to do, that doesn't work. But if you like you see it and if you help them to see
Yes,
it for themselves,
yes,
it's just such a rewarding experience when you notice, finally see it.
yes. Like one of my students, we had a conversation last week where we just realized that it's only been a year since we've been working together and knew each other. And she has made monumental moves in her trading. And it's funny because she was like, Rob, the entire year, I have to be honest with you, I never saw it. She was like, and then when I finally get my funded account and I'm getting a payout, she's like, oh my God. She was like, how did you see it? And I didn't. And I'm like, that's our journey, right? You find that one person that's able to help guide you to see it. And in your own way, in your own journey, on your own timing, you're going to see that moment where the mindset switches from, I took a loss today, damn, to, hey, I took a loss, but I managed my risk and I followed my plan. Those are two completely different things,
Absolutely.
right? And you start seeing out as the person that needs the help and the guidance, you start seeing it. But you, at least for myself, you still fight it a little bit. Like, yeah, but you try to justify the wrong action over the right one. But then that justification, it's like that balance thing where, it starts to finally lean to the positive. And the beauty of seeing that trader go, I got it. I got it. I see what you mean. And then every little time they share a victory, you're like, thank you. Like, oh, you get so excited for them. When we talk to the group on Wednesday, right? When I'm leading the call on Wednesday, they'll share their little victories and I'm like clapping. I'm like, oh my God, this clap is for you. And they're like, oh my God, Rob, thanks. And when you're like celebrating them and you're like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you for just shutting the computer down. And when they notice it, like I shut my computer down today after I traded green.
Yeah. And you can hear the pride in the voice. And
Right?
we are, generally speaking, we are not used to celebrate little things or even big things. It's like, oh, I had this goal for 5 years. I achieved that. Book next.
Exactly.
Let's move to the next one.
Exactly.
Maybe I get a dinner, but then I forget about it. But then when things are going wrong, people sometimes sit for a week with something that went wrong, and then they will remember it for the months to come and bring it up every time and beat themselves up about it. But those wins, those moments of celebration are just not enough. And there is so many things to celebrate, so many things.
That's one of the mindset challenges that we come across. We get so caught up on the negative aspect that we can't see the positive one because we're attached to something. And I'll use the example of being attached to the profit, right?
One of the biggest patterns that most traders struggle with.
Exactly, which is if you don't close green, that means you're a failure. That means you didn't do good. That means you screwed up and so on. But we get so caught up in associating to that we don't stop to think, okay, well, it may not have worked. One, that's the nature of the job, right?
Right.
I don't know where we learned or think that you're not supposed to have losing trades. Two, how did you lose that trade? If you followed your plan and you took a small loss, that's a win. But we don't see it that way because we're thinking we had to make a profit. And I'll go back to what I said earlier today about I knew there was something coming out at 10 o'clock. My trade would have worked if I took it, but I didn't want to. Because to me, at that point, that's a risk. And I'm not going to risk something knowing that it may or may not work, as opposed to getting in when I know the chances are on my side. And they weren't.
Yes. Beautiful example of compassionate discipline where you always choose in your best interest. That when you know it's like, yeah, it might have worked, but at what cost?
Exactly. Exactly.
I love the fact that you are bringing so much value into my community, and I actually see it as a sort of a personal victory that you now, as my former student, you're coaching traders within my community of traders. And on top of that, you have your own students where you teach them your strategy. So fantastic. Congratulations. This is such a great achievement. Makes me happy every single day.
And to be honest, if you don't mind me saying, you should be proud of yourself because you do so much to help people and you do it in a way that people don't feel disheartened when they do something wrong. And that's a big, big deal because there are people that will beat you down like, well, you shouldn't have done that and blah, blah, blah. You do it in a manner that really makes you feel like, okay, I'm not going to beat myself up, but I really need to look at why I did what I did.
Hence the compassionate discipline that I teach, because I think people beat themselves up enough. I know I have done. This is the way that I grew up. This is the way how I have learned discipline. And I know that that doesn't work. It works very short term, especially in trading. It activates our survival mechanism and all kinds of behaviors that are working against us. So that's why I started teaching compassionate discipline, because it's a very different way of approaching yourself, approaching trading, approaching others, your whole life, really. That's why I approach other people like that. Basically, the same way as I would like to be treated myself.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's the thing. Like we beat ourselves up for making a mistake. And because we're so accustomed to be taught that failure is not an option, when in reality, failure is the at least for me, it's the foundation of success, right?
Yeah, for everyone. If you look at any successful person, I mean, how many mistakes they
Yeah.
have made. But if you look at our system, how we are
Yep.
being taught from the very beginning, even school system, there is a there are grades. You make a mistake, you get a lower grade. It's like we are being fed with the concept of when you fail, it's
Yeah.
bad.
And if I may take it a step further, sometimes that applies in your upbringing.
Oh, absolutely.
For me, it was like, well, you're a man, you're not supposed to fail, and you're supposed to carry all the weight of your family on your shoulders. Men don't cry, men succeed, men work hard, right? And it's everything that I'm not supposed to do, is what's made me a successful trader.
Yeah. I think we broke that pattern of men don't cry very quickly after we started working together, didn't
Yes,
we?
we did. Yeah, that it was quick, but man, did you put some work into that one. I even I was like, I don't know how we're gonna get through this one, but we did. We did because that was one of my biggest issues. Growing up in a environment where you were taught that a man just doesn't fail.
Right. Yeah. Plus, don't show emotions,
Yeah,
don't feel emotions, and all that kind of
yeah.
things, right? So, what patterns do you notice in traders, like when you work with them in my community? What patterns that are most common that you notice from where you are right now?
Associating yourselves to a profit, and not, to an outcome. The misconceptions of what taking a loss is, the misconception of how the market works, thinking that trading is easy, and I have to say this, it's not hard. We make it hard.
Absolutely. There's a difference between easy and effortless.
Yes.
And I like to help people to succeed effortless, to trade effortless. It's that action of non-doing. So instead of efforting, going more with the flow.
With that, and then adding in the other things of like thinking that you have to trade every day, work hard. And it's funny because that was one of the big ones that I broke down almost immediately once I found my footing in my journey. Trading, no, like I said, it didn't have to be hard. I was making it hard. I'm on one laptop, and yes, I'm going to say this, watching Sex in the City while trading and waiting for my setup on the couch, sometimes in my PJs, because that's what makes it better and more fun for me.
Yeah, and you have to get there because a lot of times people will see those images like, oh, and hear, oh, I can just trade in my PJs. Just remember that Rob had to go through a certain process to get to that point. It's a very different thing when you are in the right mindset to understand that you don't have to stress, you don't have to work hard. Your work is to take the pressure off, but you are still required to do the work. So being in your PJs doesn't mean you are not doing the work, you're just there, winging it. That's a very different thing. Like, what is working for you? And in order to find out what is working for you, and in order to um, take your strategy and make it your own, that doesn't happen overnight. And that there is work required in order to do that. And it is not hard work, but it's all about integrity, it's about commitment. It doesn't mean that you have to struggle with that work, you just have to do it.
Exactly. And that's, we've talked about this and we've talked about it with the community. It's back to the old Nike adage, just do it.
Right. Don't make it a big deal, just do it.
Exactly. We make it a big deal,
Right.
right? Because again, not to keep bringing this up, we are in this mentality of everything has to be earned in the hard way,
Right.
and it doesn't.
Right. And it makes me sometimes sound like a broken record, right? Repeating the same things over and over again. You can hear it, but not listen. Uh, then maybe, another time when you hear it again and again and again, you will finally listen. And that's where you release the resistance that is standing in your way to actually listen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you said, trading had to be easy for me. And everything that brought me up to that point where I realized that I can make it easy was all a misconception that I allowed myself to believe, which, that's a whole nother story about belief in yourself. And
Right.
there's so many components to being a trader that at some point those components fall into place.
Right. When you actually actively doing something with it. They won't
Yes,
fall into place if you're not even aware of what those are and what to do with them.
exactly. Exactly. And I'm of the firm belief that when you are ready to let yourself hear the message, so to speak, the message will be loud and clear.
Right.
And the message for me was, doesn't have to be hard.
Just trade well.
Exactly. Trade well.
Awesome.
Bring it all back together. Exactly.
One last thing, Rob, I wanted to ask you if you could go back to your old self, what would you say to yourself?
You had nothing to worry about.
Amazing.
That was it. You had nothing to worry about.
Why are we worrying so much, right? We worry about so many things instead of just put the focus on what you want, do the work that it requires, make a plan, follow the plan, move on.
Exactly. And don't be afraid of challenges. They are what's going to teach you what you need to learn. Like we talked a moment ago about, some traders feel like there's that one more thing you need to learn.
Right.
That's the one more thing. It's getting over that challenge. It's not the indicator or anything. It's just learning to overcome that challenge is that one more thing.
Yeah.
That's in you.
And there will be always one more thing because trading always confronts you with yourself. Life confronts
Yep.
you with yourself. So there is always one more thing. So it doesn't matter, stick with a carrot in front of your nose. Like just forget about it. This is a journey. This is a long-term process. It doesn't matter what milestones you put in front of yourself because there will always be a next milestone. Whether it's, your own development or even a financial milestone that you put for yourself, it just creates an extra pressure because if you make a certain amount of money today, you will want more next time. Just forget about it, enjoy the journey. It's not about the end result. In the end, it's really about how do you get there, what happens in between, how did you grow. And you can see it from Rob, listening to his own letter, realizing it was about things that right now you don't even find that important.
Yeah, that's why when you asked, I said, what would I tell myself? Don't worry, because I worried about everything, everything that I didn't need to worry about. And I don't.
Let's finish this episode with the words of a great singer. Don't worry, be happy.
I was just thinking about that song last night, believe it or
Oh, really?
not.
That's fantastic. So I really hope that this episode have inspired you and we're all created maybe a little bit more compassion for yourself and peace. Everything will work out. Just put your focus on the things you want, the things you're striving for. Make a plan, follow your plan. Don't rush. You have enough time. You really have enough time. Just realize that just by pushing yourself, you're creating more pressure and it is not helping you. If you would like to learn more about compassion discipline and how I help traders to achieve consistency, profitability, and confidence, I would love to invite you to join my free masterclass that I will be giving on Saturday, August 23rd, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can save your seat by going to tradingmindsetmasterclass.com or going to aheadcoach.com. It's completely free and just make sure that you bring your questions and open mind. And I hope to see you there. Thank you, Rob, for joining me here. I really enjoyed our conversation and I always enjoy seeing you grow. And thank you so much for adding so much value to a head coach community. We are all happy to have you there.
Thank you, Agnieszka. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, this was an honor and a privilege for me to sit here and have a wonderful conversation with you today. And I just, I'm just really honored to call you my friend. And I hope that together we can keep moving forward and helping other traders. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Same here. and great things are ahead of us. So thank you so much, Rob. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to the Confidence in Trading podcast. If you are enjoying my show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and tell me what you like about it. Thanks to you, more traders will be able to find me, and together we'll make a bigger impact. So thank you so much. If you are new to my show, don't forget to subscribe so you can come back for the next episode. And make sure to also check some of the previous shows. Thank you again for tuning in. This is Agnieszka Wood from Ahead Coach. Bye for now.